Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Jeff Colson, junior hockey advisor. It's Wednesday night. Tomorrow's going to be chilly, cold Halloween, but it'll be fun. Hey, welcome, everybody. We're going to talk a little bit about junior hockey from different perspectives. We do it every Wednesday night, and we're here to help explain the process to you and explain, different things that happen in junior hockey, how they work, why they work, and how to navigate the junior hockey market. So I hope you enjoy this. We've been doing this for a few years, and we look at it as a public service. So hopefully you enjoy it too. So tonight we're going to spend a little time with billets. We're going to talk about the billet process. We're going to talk about some of the pluses and minuses of billets. I know we've got some fantastic people in our discussion group. Of the 12,000, I think that there's probably 5 to 10 that are super experts. 1 or 2 are elite experts. They can really give you some good information on there. We've even got one that uses billet in their name title, and they do a great job. I hope they join in tonight. If they don't, this is still a great night for you to get involved and ask your questions and see if you can pick up some things, or just join us, be a part of it, be a part of the questions and answers. As always, jump on, say hi, say hello, tell me where you're at, tell me what you're doing, tell me something about your kid, anything. Keep it PG for the most part. Doesn't have to be completely PG, but it'd be nice if it stayed fairly PG. I saw a joke today on the internet I wanted to share with you guys, and I'm going to put it up right now. You get these silly, real quick things that pop up on Facebook, and this is one of the quick ones. And it basically says, it reads like this. It goes, a coach called one of his 7-year-old hockey players aside and asked, at what point during the game the coach, it's the same joke. Sorry, got to start over. At what point in the game the coach called one of his 7-year-old hockey players over at side and said, do you understand what cooperation is? And the little boy nodded in the affirmative. Do you understand that what matters is not whether we win or lose, but how we play together as a team? The little boy looked at him and nodded, yes. He looked at him and said, so, I'm sure you know when a penalty is called, you shouldn't argue and curse and attack the referee or call him a peckerhead. Do you understand that? The boy looked up at him, a little bird to his face, and he nodded, yes, he understands. The coach continues and he says, when I call you off the ice, so another little boy can walk in the play, it's not good to call me a dumb asshole, is it? The little boy looked at him and said, yes, again in agreement. They said, good. I'll go over and tell your mom all that. Let's go for it. I got a better joke. Tell me your joke. I'll listen to your joke. All right, we gotta get that music off though. There we go. All right. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I don't share many of the jokes on here, but we thought we'd share that one. And there goes the audience. We just lost 80% of you. All right. So let's talk a little bit about billets. So you can look at the billet situation. If you don't know what billets are and you're new to junior hockey, billets are families that basically play the role of the home family, the home parents, and they become in the city of wherever your team is, they become the players' parents, and they become the home. Basic rules are usually billets have to supply a room and at least a semi-private bathroom, which is funny. My son's last year in juniors, he got traded to Shreveport, and it was the number 1 team in the league at the time. They ended up winning the Robertson Cup. A fantastic experience for him, except the billet he moved in with the first day, he had to walk through her master bedroom to get to the shower Uh, and it was one of those things where we were like, huh, what? What are you saying? He goes, yeah. So, and she had, it was a single lady, that had lost her husband. God bless him, sometime earlier in her life. And she just billeted one or two players at all times. And so that was interesting. And it didn't last long. I think my son ended up being there 1 or 2 weeks. Uh, but it was, those kind of stories here happen all the time. You're supposed to be in a situation where you can have one or two billet boys in a room, hockey players in a room. That's common. There are some families. There was another experience with one of my kids where uh, he stayed in a house, a suburban house, and they had 4 bedrooms upstairs, and they had 2 players per bedroom. They had 8 players, and the dad would get up in the morning. And he'd make a big pot of porridge or oatmeal or whatever it was, and that's what they built the basis of their breakfast around. And then they would make a big chili or a big spaghetti at night, and not like always with all the fixins. We're just talking about real thin spaghetti with just a paste sauce, not even a meat sauce or any vegetables in there. Um, and they literally did it just because it was an income source. You know, if you're getting $300 or $400 a month per player, 400 times 8, that's 32. That's gonna, even after the minimal amount of groceries they bought, they still had something in their pocket. So, um, billets can be strange, but anyway, let's get back to the basics of what billets are. Billets are families that take care of your child when you send your young son and even daughter, because our daughter billeted when she played up in Canada also. Um, and there's basic rules. They've got to feed you. Usually it's breakfast and dinner. On the weekends it should be breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you're there all weekend long. And the basics there are, it's got to be a safe place. It's got to be a place that's you know that they've got a place to sleep a full night. They've got meals. They've got a place to park their car if they've got a car, and things are always supposed to be stable in the billet family. And stable is relative. It's a relative term. Different people think of billeting it as stable in different ways. So that's not really up to me to decide what you think is stable. Or I think of stable as being someplace where I can shut a door, read a book if I want to. I can tune out if I want to. I can go join in activities if I want to. So let's talk a little bit about, if you got questions about the billet process, feel free to put on there. We got some videos on billeting too, and we've also got some great questions already up that you just have to search for in our discussion group, or you can start another, post and ask a question. You will get answers to billeting immediately, and I guarantee you, you'll get every positive angle you can on billets. So just wanted to give you some insight of some things that you can do if you're going to billet. If you're a new family, once again, billets, it's going to, unless you're playing in the USHL, billet's going to cost you a couple $100 a month. It's usually, quote me, or correct me, I should say, if I'm wrong, but billeting usually runs $300 to $400 for most leagues. If somebody's paying more, or if you know a league that's paying more, let me know, just so I can update myself on that. I haven't asked anybody this year what the going rate is on billets. So you pay. It's usually you start last week of August, somewhere right around there, and you pay month to month all the way through the season. If you get traded or something happens, you get injured midway through the month, the billet family is supposed to prorate you and reimburse you for whatever days you didn't use on your contract, and you stay through the season. And usually the way it works is if the season ends on a Saturday over on a weekend, uh, the expectation is you got several days to pack up and leave. If you got a good relationship with a billet family, they're in no rush to get you out. If it's a professional relationship, they're usually a little bit more on the dotted lines. Like, you've got 3 days now to, get your affairs in order, get all your stuff out of the house, make sure that you've returned anything you need to return to us, garage door openers, things like that. and make sure that your room's clean and go. So once again, let's talk about some of the things you can do or some of the things that make this process better. And throw your comments on. Love to see who's out there. Oh, that's right off the bat. Thanks, Troy. Troy comes on and lets us know that right off the bat. Whoops, sorry, we'll get you up there, Troy. Says 500 a month in the EHL. So it's the rate's gone up even just over the last couple of years. That makes sense because we've seen food prices go up drastically in the States, and I gotta imagine from what I hear, it's even worse in Canada right now. And that makes sense that you would see, instead of 300, 400, up to $500 now. So if your rate's higher, let me know. I'd love to hear about some other rates too. Thanks, Troy. All right. First of all, I'm going to tell you right now the key to being a great billet player, a player living in a billet house, is how well you communicate. If you set the tone that you're a great communicator, it is going to make life so much easier for you when you're dealing with that billet family. And conversely, if you're the billet family, the more you communicate, the easier it is to have a great billet relationship. And I'll give you some examples. If I'm a billet player, I need to find out, how the family wants me to communicate to them where I'm at all times, period. You should not be, if you're a good billet, and this is parents, when you send your kid off to billet with another family, even if you didn't really care if after a practice that ends at 5 o'clock, if your son didn't get home till 8 or 9 o'clock because he's out doing something, going to a restaurant, or going to do something with some of the guys, going to hang out at somebody else's house, maybe he didn't check in. With a billet family, that communication's got to be there. You've got to check in. You've got to make sure you take the time to let everybody know where you're at and what you're doing. Now, you don't, not when I say everybody, there'll be a key contact point in the family. Leaving a sticky note probably isn't the best idea. Writing on the grease board in the kitchen, I'll be home at 9 is not good communication. What good communication is either a DM or a text saying, hey, I'm going to go over to Bobby's house after practice. We're going to have dinner over there tonight, and we're going to watch a movie, and I'll be home around 9. Now, most billet families have rules, and teams have rules about billets. On weeknights, there's usually a curfew time you have to be in. Weekends, like after games, there's a curfew time. All of those things are important, and it's important for you to make sure that you know those rules. And the family that's at home, meaning whatever town you started out in, I'm in Victory, New York, so I need to know what my kids' rules are too. Because if I call up my son on a Saturday night at 10 o'clock, say, hey, what's going on, man? And he goes, oh, nothing. I'm just out cruising around with a couple buddies. We're just looking for something to do. And I go, don't you have a 10 o'clock curfew? And they're not adhering to it. It's up to me to make sure I remind them too. And so that communication goes across the board in every direction. If you communicate well with a billet family, 90% of your problems go away. I'll tell you that right now. If you say hello when you walk through a room, you say, how you doing? Hey, how was your day? If you let them know where you're at, after a game, you say, hey, I'm heading straight home. I know you guys are going out to eat, but I'm going to head straight home, take a shower. I'm kind of banged up tonight. Just let them know. The billets that have problems across the board are either kids that are extremely shy or extremely immature, and they're not used to talking to adults, or they're afraid to talk to the parents, the billet parents. That's the ones that are going to get themselves in issues, and it's going to be tough. If you're open and you can chat and you can make sure that you send a message or a phone call, you're going to be fine in that respect. And speaking of in that respect, the next one too is just respect in general. If I live in somebody's house, I had a billet one time. We had what we had in our house is we had a split level house at one point, and the downstairs had a beautiful, great room with a pool table and a bar, and it was all set up with out to a patio with a jacuzzi, and it had a big room next to it that was like a master bedroom. And we actually put a couple beds in there with their own dressers, and we made it a billet area, and they had the whole bottom part of the house. The only thing they really had to come up to do, they had their own full bathroom down there too. The only thing they really had to do to come up from the bottom part of the split was to come up for dinner or to get into the kitchen to get some food or do things like that. So it was a beautiful situation. We're moving out one of the kids at the end of the year, and we had one kid that's been with us for a couple of years, and he's a great kid. And the other kid was a good kid, but he was it bounced off the walls. He was devious. He just did things. And under his bed, he had taken his jackknife or a razor blade, and he carved out a big part of the carpet. For whatever reason, we don't know. He just carved it out. And it was like, after he left, it was like, well, do we just repair it, or do we call him up and tell him he's responsible for that? And we decided just to let it go and fix it ourselves. But it was one of those things like, what the heck were you thinking? That's not respecting us. That's not respecting our house. We had one time too where we had a temporary billet. It was during the first part of the season, and we had a couple other kids that were still in camp. We didn't know how many kids were going to make the team, and so we had 4 kids in the house, of which 3 of them were up in the air. They were last minute. Can we come and skate? And they were good enough that we wanted to see how they'd fare out, and we didn't know where they're going to. They didn't have billet families because it was late, and so we billeted them in the house. One of them decided that he didn't like sleeping in the room that we had him in, so he had it was a lightweight bed. He picked it up, and he had the guys help him pick up our slate pool table that we had professionally put in place and balanced, and everything was done right on it. And he moved it over about a foot. It took them all to pick it up and move it and slide it over, and it's like, what are you doing? And of course, the slates didn't match up anymore, and it's like, come on, just respect what we do and what we're trying to do. And it sure as hell didn't help that I was the coach of the team. When you do something like that, do I want to keep you around when you're actually still in that tryout process? Absolutely not. I'll be honest with you, it just didn't. That told me a lot about his character, and I just was like, what, we're out the door. So respect. Here's some things. Respect. Yes, please. Yes, thank you. Please and thank yous. Maybe if you're into the no sir and yes sirs and the no ma'am, yes ma'am, that's good too. But just eye to eye contact and talking. And if the family, has certain rules about dinner, don't be the outsider. If they say no hats at the dinner table, follow abide. If they do a prayer at dinner and you're not a praying type and that's not your thing, at least respect it, bow your head, let them do their thing, and move on. And don't make a big deal out of it. Be very polite and very, very respectful of what they do in their house, because it's your house, it's your family at that time. So I think that respect, communication, respect, number 1, number 2. Number 3, this is really important. Get involved. Okay. The biggest thing I can say there is the more that you're involved with the family. If they got a dog and they walk the dog, twice a day, once in a while, jump in and take the dog for a walk, play with the dog. If they've got littler kids, because sometimes billet families love, if they've got kids between the ages of 8 and 12 and they're hockey players, they love having a older billet brother in the house. You're the hockey player and the kids look up to him. Hey, go out in the garage, fire some pucks at them, put them in the net, put some goalie gear on them and fire pucks at them. Have fun with them, play with them. That's the kind of thing that's in that interaction and that true involvement in the family. If they do a movie night, I don't care what they're watching. Once in a while, sit down with the family. If they play a family board game or something, just jump in and interact there. When it snows, clear off their car too. If you're going to go out and clear your car off, for your drive to the rink and you're out before the rest of them, clear the billet mom's car off too. Go so far to do those little interactive things that make you feel part of it and make them feel part of it. That getting involved, that kind of goes into my number 4. My number 4 is, spending quality time around. Quality time can be inviting a couple of teammates over and hanging out in the house along with one of the little billet brothers. But let let the little billet brother come down and watch a movie with you. Or if you guys are playing some NHL on the video game system, whatever you're using, once in a while invite the 12-year-old down to play with you and getting some, make it a quality experience for somebody in the family, just like you want to have a quality experience too. So that would really, really go far. And the last one, number 5 on this, and it's not a long night tonight. We'll talk about whatever else you want to. I do want to get on to another one, but the 5th one is show gratitude. A note, a text of thanks. Once in a while picking up, saying, hey, I ran out. I saw we were running low on milk. I ran out and picked up a gallon of milk. Or I got some milk on the way back from the rink. All those little things that shows a little gratitude, they all go into play with those other 4 things we were talking about. It goes into play with the ability to communicate. That means you're participating in the family. You're showing respect. You're involved. You're doing some quality things. All those things are what makes, it makes families happy to have you in the house as a billet kid. Obviously that respect part too is you don't want to argue with billet parents. There's absolutely nothing you should be arguing about. Probably the only time they're going to call you out on something is if you're breaking a family rule. So, if they bring up topics you don't want to talk about, politics, religion, even talking about your hockey, which a lot of times billet parents want the inside scoop of what's going on with the team, or they want to know how your day went on those things. That's a great opportunity for you to work on some skills to change the subject, to keep on track of not having to get into situations where you're in conversations you don't want to be in. And that's an adult thing. We all have to deal with that, and that will help you in the long run too. So give me your thoughts too. Let me know what you think. Is this something that you see value in? Any of the 5 things I brought up? There's so many things you can talk about when it comes to billets, but really all I wanted to do is to point out some very maybe simple and maybe obvious things, but it's obvious more for us as parents, maybe as coaches, maybe as team or league administrators. It makes common sense. But when you're that 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old, and this is your first experience away from home, it's your first experience away from your parents, new environment to live in, completely different set of circumstances. Maybe you come from a big family and all of a sudden you're living with one widowed mom. That's a big difference. There's just 2 of you in your house. It can feel awfully creepy at times when that comes up like that. So, hey, look, I want to throw a couple of things too. Bud just popped on. I want to throw Bud up. Bud's from Vegas, and his son plays in the AJ, and we pay $0 for billet fees. That was the best part of the AJHL. The year that my son played in the AJHL is, it was so nice with the billeting and the hockey both get covered, and it was kind of a letdown when we jumped back in to the North American Hockey League, where the hockey was still paid for, but we had to pay the billet fee. Not that big of a deal, but still, AJ makes it nice. What team are you playing for up there, Bud? I'd love to know what team he's on. That'd be really interesting to know. A couple other comments are coming in here, and Troy comes back on and says, "Don't stink, shower up." Yeah, absolutely. That's that respect thing. You come home from hockey. If you're one of those ones that don't like to shower at the rink, or maybe the facilities at the rink are horrible, so you want to get home and shower, let it known that that's what you're doing, so the family doesn't stop you or have a meal waiting for you when you get home from practice or home from a game where you just want to get in and get a shower and get cleaned up first. That's that communication too. We used to have one of the guys on the team that just absolutely did not like showering in our team locker rooms. The other one did, but the one didn't. And so we had to kind of hold back on, setting out the meal until after he was, done with the shower. Kind of delayed things with us about a half an hour, but that was okay. There's no real big issues there. So Lori comes on and says, Help prepare a family meal. What a great suggestion. What a great suggestion. I come up with a silly, you know, terrible example. Pick up a gallon of milk. Lori comes in with the big dog saying, "Hey, look, maybe it's time to actually help with a meal." I love when the billets help with the meals, and I also love when they get their favorite meals that we cooked in the house. My wife does a killer, chili. She did a killer shepherd's pie, and we had one billet that literally still to this day, he's in his early 30s now, still comes over when we make shepherd's pie and wants to sit down and have a meal with us. And we love having him over still. Some of these relationships become lifelong. With us, they're definitely lifelong relationships, and it's been a blast to see them grow up and play through juniors. Some of them play through college and get out in the real world and start working. So Lori also throws up assist with cleaning. Yeah, that I hope that you kind of get the theme that Lori's explaining too. You're not at a hotel. You don't have a maid. Now, don't get me wrong. There are times when you're a player where there really is this, oh, and the family, when you walk in, they're like, this because they were fans of the team before they were billet parents. And my son has been in that situation where, they would, the family, the mom, or, sometimes other members of the family would do his laundry, would cook all of his meals, would say, no, 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 we got your plates, and literally made it, like he was king of the day. Um, does it grind me? No, that's their choice. That's what they want to do. And he got the extremes on both ends. So it wasn't like he just experienced that every single year of juniors, all 3 years. He had both experiences. He had, like I said, he had the commercial family that literally he was a commodity. He was there just for them to put a paycheck in their pocket. And if we were paying three something a month there, they had it figured out that they were only going to spend 100 of that on his food, collectively, and they went out and bought in bulk and kept it very simple. They didn't buy him juice. They didn't buy him sodas. They didn't buy him iced teas. They had water, and I think they allowed him to drink milk in the morning. And like I said, it was oatmeal or whatever that gruel was in this big pot that the dad would cook it like at 6 a.m. and leave it on the stove for the guys. And as they woke up, they came down and ladled their own if they wanted it. And then that kind of broke into the kids heading out to do Tim Hortons run or Dunkin' Donuts runs or Starbucks runs. So it's crazy some of the things people do. And anyway, I think we've hit that pretty good. We got another comment here. Bud, thank you. Playing for Grand Prairie. AJ is an incredible experience. I hope you get a chance. Have you got a chance to go up, Bud, and see games in Alberta yet? Is this his first year up there? Like to, if not, I got some videos on there. There is one video we did about the AJHL. If you haven't watched it yet, and if you haven't gone up to see the horses, if you get a chance to ever go to Alberta, folks, make sure you go up into the foothills of the Rockies, which is on the west side of the state, the province. Make sure you see the horses of Alberta. It is such a cool experience, and to see them running up through the mountains and through the hills. And if it's wintertime or if it's summertime, it doesn't matter. It's beautiful to see these wild animals and these herds, and it just was a really, really exceptional experience. Alberta is very cool. You get everything up there. So if you haven't experienced Alberta, and if your team is thinking about a place, if you're still in midgets or bantams and you're thinking of a place and you get a chance to get up to Alberta, maybe BC, well worth it. Well worth it. At least in my opinion. I think that everybody should get a chance to go up there and experience that. Really, really, really wonderful. Okay. While I was just to close up, and if you got questions, you want to throw up questions, feel free to throw some questions up. I just want to give you a couple things to think about as a junior player, and a couple things to do, and a couple things not to do. Very cool. Just so you know, Bud pops in and says, there a couple weeks ago, heading back up in December. Yeah, just make sure that if you're up there in December, January, just make sure that if you got to park outside, you're used to having square tires because our tires, the rubber stayed frozen into a flat spot on the tires every single time we were up there, and it just ka-thunk, 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 ka-thunk down the road till the tires and the air warmed up in the tires. So get used to that. Okay, couple things. Um, some things to avoid as a junior player. I just want to throw a couple things out. This wasn't something that I put a lot of effort into, but I thought about it a little before I came on the air. And it ties in with the billet family. It ties into what your purpose is when you're playing junior hockey. Junior hockey, you're supposed to be working on your skills, improving your strength, maturing as an adult, preparing yourself to get ready. And I don't want to use that word development because it's such a vague word and so many teams misuse the word development. I'm a development coach, or that's a development team. No, improve your skills, improve your play, mature, get stronger, get ready for college. Take college classes, as much as you can. The only excuse for not taking college classes really is if you have to work when you're playing or when you're playing juniors. And there's some guys that have to pick up a few hours every day in the pro shop, or they have to drive the Zamboni, or they got to work at a fast food place to put a few bucks in their pocket. Because some families say, hey, it's great that you're going to play juniors, but you're going to pay for your billet fee, or you're going to pay for your incidentals, or whatever the case may be. So sans that, set that aside. Besides that, you're going to have a lot of time on your hands. You're going to have a lot of times. Now, hockey's going to consume it. A lot of programs, it's a 9 to 5. You're at the rink a lot, but you're still going to have a lot of time on your hands. There is plenty of time. No junior player after the first few weeks should ever say, I don't have time to take a college class. Just isn't true. It isn't true. Everybody can take at least one. There are many players that'll take 2 college classes every semester while they're the fall and the winter while they're in juniors. It's very doable. You can, in your 3 years of